Well, I've been with Cipriani for about 8 years now. I have a wonderful team of designers that you'll get a chance to meet tonight. Manny's here with us, Melissa's here with us, Ed's here with us, Madison, Jay, and Keith. So there's a bunch of us here tonight that will be happy to answer all your questions about your specific project after the seminar's over. But tonight we hope to address things more on a broad base. Some of the questions that you might have about where do I begin, what do I do, who do I hire, what kind of styles are out there, how's this design going to work, what is this process? So we hope to answer some of these questions on a broader base, but if you have something that you want to zone in on, please just let me know. So our agenda will talk about how to begin. We'll talk about a 5-step process. We'll talk a lot about designs, what are the latest designs and styles, and then we'll talk about questions and hopefully avoiding any costly mistakes. So people always start out this project and it's often overwhelming to a homeowner to do a project. There's so many things to do. A couple of you have said, I'm doing 2 bathrooms and a powder room and maybe a kitchen, or I'm doing an addition. And that's a lot to do. Unless you're doing this all day, every day, there is so many decisions that you have to think about. But we don't want you to worry about those details. We want you to start thinking about the basics. So first thing you're going to do is bring somebody out to the house. But before you do that, I want you to start thinking in your mind a little bit about planning. Where did your inspiration come from? Why are you doing this? Are you doing it because your dishwasher broke and you have to do a kitchen? Are you doing it because your neighbor just did their kitchen? Are you doing it because you love blue and your bathroom is Pepto-Bismol pink? So what are some of the reasons you're doing it? Because that's going to help us to guide you down the right path. Think about your investment goals. Think about your budget. We are designers here at Cipriani, and of course anybody who would come to your house are also talented people, and we would love to do your kitchen for $400,000, but if your budget is $100,000, we want to know that so we could guide you down the right direction. Nobody's asking you your investment goals because we are getting too nosy and that's what we want you to spend. We want to guide you down the right path. So start thinking about that. You don't have to know exactly, but it does help us to guide you a little bit better. And think about some of your checklists and some of your goals of the project. What do you love about your house now? What do you hate about your bathroom? Is your shower too small? Is your shower too big? Do you need more shower heads? So try to come up with some goals. Now, of course, we are going to guide you down the right path to help you make those goals a reality, but it helps us to know as much as we possibly can. So all you have to worry about at this very early stage is some of these things. So, how do we start planning some of your wishes? And we'll take you from there. How do you choose the right contractor? So there are so many contractors out there. How do you begin? How do you find the right one? How do you find one who's talented as well as detailed, as well as a good contractor who is a legitimate contractor? So the first thing you want to do when you're going through is to make sure a contractor is licensed. Make sure they are licensed with the state, and don't just believe them that they're licensed. You want to see their certificate, and sometimes you even want to call the state to make sure they're legit and licensed. You want to make sure they have insurance. And I know some of these things might sound a little bit basic, but a lot of people don't do these things, and we hear the horror stories when people come to us about issues that people have had because some of the things weren't checked. Insurance, make sure they have their regular insurance and make sure they also have workman's comp insurance. That's a big deal too. You want to ask for 2 of those things, and you also want to make sure that you see their actual certificate of insurance. Get references that are current, people who are doing projects right now, and get references of people who did projects 5 years ago. You want to know how the project is going immediately, and you also want to know how the project held up after multiple years. How long have they been in business? Did you know that most contractors close their doors after 5 years of business? So it's a very common thing. You want somebody who has a lot of longevity so that if you have a problem in 6 years or you have a problem in 7 years, you want to be able to call somebody back and say, hey, what's going on? Can you help me with this problem? So make sure they're a longevity company. Check your online reviews. Ask them about the materials and their installation techniques. What kind of materials do they use? Are they buying their materials from the big box stores, or are they buying their plumbing supplies from a true plumbing company? A toilet from Home Depot is not necessarily the same toilet as a toilet from a plumbing supply company. It looks the same from the outside, but it's all about the inside and how it's constructed. So you want to know where these materials are coming from. You want to ask about techniques, how they're installing their techniques. There's different systems that are used. There's different methods that are used. You want to make sure that you know some of these things that they're doing, that they're just not going to install your shower and just put a little thin set on the floor and cover it with tile and hope that you're not going to have any leaks. You want to make sure you talk about some of the proper techniques that they're being used. What kind of allowances are they offering? Nothing worse than falling in love with a tile that's $11 a square foot, and the contractor's saying, oh, sorry, I only had $1.99 for that tile. And then you have to reselect something that is not so attractive. So you want to make sure you understand a little bit about the allowances. And then warranties. Do they have warranties? In the state of New Jersey, they don't even require companies to have an extended warranty. You want to make sure they have a warranty that's longer than a year. 1 year, probably nothing is going to happen on your project. You want to make sure that your project has a chance to go through the seasons, the cold and the hot a couple of times, because that's when you're going to see little things like maybe expansion, maybe a nail pop. So you want to make sure that somebody has a warranty that's going to last well beyond a year. Ours is 3 years, so that if anything happens in your project, we'll come back and we'll fix that little nail hole. Or if the caulk separated from, the grout a little bit, we'll come back and fix that. So you want to make sure that you're doing all the right things to get the right contractor. And then how do you find the right type of contractor? I heard somebody say something about a handyman today. There's lots of ways to do a project, and there's lots of different types of contractors out there. So if you're doing an addition, for example, a lot of times somebody will say, I'm going to build an addition. Let me call an architect, or let me call a designer and see if they could help me through it. And that's great. They'll draw you a pretty plan. The architect will draw you an elaborate, beautiful plan on the large paper, and you'll be able to really see everything. Charge you a good amount of money, and it will take a decent amount of time to get that done. And then you have the part where, okay, great, let me hire a contractor. So you go to the contractor and you meet with the contractor, and he or she gives you a price on this beautiful, elaborate plan, and you say, oh, shoot, I didn't want to spend that much money. And then you go back to the architect and say, I got to start over. And he says, okay, well, give me another $10,000. So a lot of times that gets a little bit confusing, because the architect, the designer, and the builder all have different images, and you want to be able to make sure that they're all on the same page. But if you're working independently, that's likely not going to happen. So that's one way you could do it. Not my favorite way. The next way would be to call a handyman. And a handyman's great if you need a picture hung or if you need a wall painted. But if you're redoing a bathroom or redoing a kitchen, a handyman is not the person to do this project for you. You want someone who's going to be able to do everything properly. So you want an electrician to be able to do the electric. You want a plumber to do the plumbing. You want a tile setter to do the tiling. You don't want the handyman to come in and say, yeah, I could do the electric. It's only a sconce. You want to make sure you're hiring the right type. The other one is a general contractor. A general contractor will ultimately do a beautiful job, but you will be involved in the process. So the general contractor will probably say to you, okay, guys, go pick out your tile. Let me know what you pick, and make sure to get it delivered here by August 31st. Or he'll say, the electrician's coming next week. Make sure you're here to tell him where to put the recessed light. Or the plumber's coming. He'll be here Tuesday. To make sure he knows where the sink is going to go. You're going to be very involved in that project. So if you have the time and you have the expertise to go do all those things, then a general contractor might work for you. But the way we've figured it out after being in business for 48 years is that the best way to do a project, and it's any size project truly, is through a design build firm. And that's what we are. We are a design build firm. If I can define it the one way, the best way it would be one team under one roof with one shared vision. So when you work with a design build firm like ours, Your project starts with a designer. So I am one of 8 designers here at Cipriani. So it starts with us. We come out, we listen to your goals, we hear your vision, we create a plan, we develop the plan with you, we do all the documentation, you eventually meet your project manager, the designer and the project manager work together to ultimately build you a perfect project. If it's an addition, the architect comes through us, so everything is done together. So we're not sending you to all these different places, you're not talking to all these different people, you're talking to us, and we're developing the project from start to finish with one common goal, and it's a nice, easy process. So has anyone gone through any renovations where it's been a little bit difficult to manage? And yeah, okay. It's hard. A lot of times it's difficult. I've been in this business for a long time. Years and years ago, I did a kitchen renovation. I wasn't working here then. I didn't even really know about Cipriani back then. And it was a very difficult thing to do myself, even though I was in the business and I knew how to do it and I knew what to do. But to navigate it while I was working and while I was doing a million different things, it was a very difficult thing to navigate. Every great company has a process, and a process is extremely important in anything you do in life. Like, you can't just start something without figuring out how to do it and what the process is. The Cipriani process is why I work here. So in my previous position, I worked for a company where I helped homeowners do their selections for their bathrooms and their kitchens and anything that they were doing in their house. And I worked with builders. I had 80 different builders who were my accounts. And the one single thing that frustrated me most was there was no organization, there was no system, there was no coordination between the homeowner and the builder. And I was always so frustrated with that, being the person that they came to. My questions would be, okay, tell me about your project. What's your budget? How much do you have for your tile? I don't know. When's the project starting? I don't know. Well, what's the design? Well, I don't know. This is the homeowner saying, I don't know. Well, how big is the shower? Well, I don't know. So they never really communicated. There was never a system in place between the builder and the homeowner. Now, just for clarity, Cipriani was not one of my accounts back then. So that was always very frustrating to me. And then the builder would call me a couple of days later and he'd say, okay, Ann, they picked their tile for the bathroom. Can you have it to me by tomorrow because I'm installing on Thursday? Like, no, it takes 3 weeks to get the tile. Well, wait a minute, now my job's off schedule. Well, you just weren't organized. So anyway, it was always extremely, extremely frustrating. So when it came time for me to move on to that, from that position, I knew about Cipriani. I heard about Cipriani, and I came and I interviewed with Jay and Cindy, and Cindy brought me back to what we call our production room, which at some point in this process you'll go back and see. We can show you tonight. But the production room showed our process, and it showed our 5-step process of how we do things from start to finish. And just standing there and hearing about the systems that Cipriani had in place, the process, the procedures, the protocols, I was floored because nobody did it like that. And I thought, oh my gosh, if this company has these things set in place, I need to work here. So 8 years later, I'm still here. I'm here because I have happy homeowners, and I have happy homeowners because there are systems in place that allow us to get to that point. So our 5-step process is we listen, we design, we refine, we define, and we build. Hi, how are you? Have a seat, get cozy. And I'm going to go into those steps a little bit more because every single step is just as important as the one before. So the listen happens, basically you call us, or tonight we hope you schedule an appointment with us. We come out to your home and we talk to you about your project. So when I go to a home, or when all of us go to a home, we ask you if it's okay if we sit at your kitchen table and talk about your project. I want to hear about your project from you before I go up and look at your bathroom. I want to hear what your goals are, what your vision is, what's important to you. This way I can do that before I formulate my own opinion. I think anybody who comes in with a tape measure and a clipboard and says, okay, lady, where's your bathroom? Let me go measure. Yep, okay, I'll be back to you. That's not good. You've been thinking about this project for a long time. You've been dreaming about it. You have ideas. So listening is an extremely important part of the project. Just as important as us listening to you, I want you to understand a little bit about Cipriani so that you know who you're working with. So us listening to you, us being able to share a little bit about the company, will help to ultimately make for a successful project. We will evaluate your existing space. Of course, we are going to measure and we are going to take lots of notes. We're going to discuss your goals. We're going to discuss your budget, your investment goals, just so we can align our project towards your wishes. Sometimes your investment goals don't always align with your dream, and we'll talk about that. So we'll talk about how we can scale that to the right way. We will take measurements, we'll take photos, and we'll discuss the next step. So when we finish our first appointment with you, we will have an understanding of your project, you will have a little bit of understanding about us, and we'll let you know what the next steps are, where you come to the office and learn a little bit more about your project. So you should have a good understanding after listening of a lot of different things about us. After we finish, we come back to our office and we create a design based on everything you've shared with us. Now keep in mind, we've only met with you for an hour or two, so we don't know everything about your project, but we're going to take what we've learned from visiting with you and we're going to create a design. And we're going to be able to show that to you in a 2D format and a 3D format. We're going to explore the preliminary layouts. We're going to align our vision with function. Your project will be beautiful, I can promise you that, but it's important to me to make sure that your project functions properly. Is your shower big enough? Are we allowing for the future? Maybe today you don't need a grab bar, but in 10 years you might, and you're not redoing your bathroom in 10 years. So we're going to think about those things. We're going to create an initial investment range so that we can share that with you so you can have an understanding of what your project will cost. So when you meet with us at our second appointment, we'll be able to see a 2D design. So this is a kitchen. We'll be able to see a 2D design and a 3D design. And we're going to share with you your estimate, and it's not going to be one page. Do you ever have a contractor come to the house and you have this big grand project and they give you a one-page estimate with 7 things written down, and you're like, yeah, I think you're going to do what I want you to do. Did it ever happen? Yeah, it happens a lot, but we give you a very thorough estimate that is multiple pages that outlines everything that we do in the order that we do it. So we're going to talk about area preparation, we're going to talk about permits, we're going to talk about dust protection, we're going to talk about deconstruction, we're going to talk framing, electric, plumbing, everything that has to be done in your project. You're going to have an understanding of what we do and how we do it. And then we're going to give you an investment range. Because remember, I've only met with you for an hour or two, so we don't have the project defined. So we give you a range so that you can understand, okay, maybe we'll end up at the bottom of the range, maybe we'll end up at the top of the range, or maybe we'll end up in between. So we'll give you a range that you could work with. Any questions so far? You're a very quiet audience. No? Okay. All right, so after you've had an opportunity to meet with your contractor for the first time, meet with them for the second time, you should then be able to say, okay, great, let's pretend that you love Cipriani. Okay, great, I love Cipriani, I want to make a decision, I want to move on with them, and now we're going to figure it out. And that's where we go to the further steps, and we go to steps 3 and 4, and that's where we define and we refine your project. So we're going to do site visits, we're going to fine-tune the layouts, we're going to align the design with your budget considerations, we're going to finalize material selections, and we're going to do some documentation. So what is a site visit? So I've been to your house, I learned as much as I could about your project, but you want to take the wall down between the kitchen and the dining room, but I'm not quite sure what's in that wall. I think it's okay, I know it's not a load-bearing wall, but I suspect there might be some HVAC in there, or I think there might be some plumbing from the upstairs. So we're going to bring our team out and they're going to scope your walls, maybe even poke a small hole in the wall so that we can look and so we can understand everything that we possibly can about the project before your project begins. We've all seen on TV, on the HGTV shows, where the contractor's at the house and the lady calls and says, oh, homeowner, that's a load-bearing wall. We didn't know that was a load-bearing wall. Oh my gosh, that's going to be $10,000 more. And the homeowner doesn't have a choice but to go for it because their kitchen's already destroyed. So we do our best to avoid those kind of scenarios so that we know as much as we possibly can about your project before we begin. So that's what our site visit's for. And if I had to come out and I had to bring the plumber, I can bring the electrician, I could bring the HVAC specialist. So we do all that well before the project begins.
But that starts after the estimate is given?
After the estimate is given, and once we come out to the house, we have you back here to our second appointment and share our estimate with you, and you decide, yes, I'd like to move forward, then we move forward into developing the project, and that's when we do the site visit.
Yeah, in your estimate, I heard you mention an allowance for, the allowance. I guess part of your estimate includes the cost of materials and everything.
Yes.
That we select from your showroom.
Yes.
And if you want to upscale those materials, there's an additional cost for it.
Correct.
Estimate yourself.
Correct. Well, that's why we give you a range, because you might spend $9 a square foot on the tile, which is typically what we allow for tile, but you might spend $6 or you might spend $26. So we try to work in a range so that we can cover those ups and downs.
So what is the experience like? You give an estimate, what typically happens? It bumps up by 20%, 30% on average? Do you have any?
There is no average because every single project is completely different. So I've done many projects where I've given a range. Let's pretend I'll use a hypothetical number. Let's pretend I gave a range between 100 and 120,000. I've done projects that ended up at 95. I've done projects that ended up at 250. So it just depends on the homeowner. A lot of times your project will start out one way, but then it changes along the way as you start to realize what you need or what you want or what you wished for or what your neighbor did or what we can talk about. You might start out thinking that you want a basic white cabinet, but then you see the beautiful white oak that you say, oh, I gotta have that white oak. Or you might start out saying, I want the white oak, and you might say, oh no, I think I like the white. So all those things vary greatly. So if you say to me, Anne, I have to be at $100,000, then I'm going to steer you along the way so that your project will stay as close to $100,000 as possible. So if you're falling in love with that marble tile that's $250 a square foot, I'm going to say, come here, let me show you this one, because it's only $9 a square foot. So the designer's job is to guide you so that we could keep you in the proper lane.
So those range of materials, I guess, are in your showroom, you need to select from that range into.
So we have some products here that we offer, but we also take you places. So I keep using tile as an example because it's an easy one. So I can't supply a showroom full of every tile that's available. So we'll take you to one of our trade partners, Avalon Flooring, and we'll look at the tiles. And when I take a homeowner to look at different materials, I pre-select, and after some of the things that you've told me. So when you get there, I'm going to have 3 vignettes, let's say, of tile, and I'm going to say, okay, do you like any of these? And ideally, I'll have listened to you, and you'll say, yes, I love this one. But you might say, I love this one, but I need something, a little bit more blue. So then we'll walk around, but I'm going to steer you towards the one that falls within that budget range. I'm not going to let you go to the crazy expensive or the really inexpensive. So we'll try to steer you. We will share with you, okay, your allowance that we've allowed for tile is $9 a square foot. The toilet that we've selected for you is $434. And I can say to you, okay, you picked that Toto toilet, which is $776. So then you're going to know. So we will try to steer you in the right direction. So that 2D rendering and 3D rendering that you saw early on in your second appointment will get way more detailed. So it'll have dimensions, it'll have cabinet numbers, it'll have details. You'll see a better 2D, you'll see a better elevation, and then ultimately you'll see a 3D drawing of your project. So you can really get an idea of what it's going to look like. The goal of doing these is so that, again, once your project starts, everything is set up and everything is ready and easy to go for the project manager to continue to build. Details are so important to us. So during the selection process, when we're choosing materials and we're finalizing the design and we're creating all the details, I'm going to be putting together a book of every single detail of your project. This agreement happens to be about 60 pages. This is just a recent kitchen that we're going to be working on. I've done projects that have agreements that have 750 pages. But the idea of this book is to outline every single detail of your project, to the cabinet specifications, to the deconstruction, to the electrical plan, to the plumbing plan. Everything is outlined. I'll pass this around if you want, but we'll give you proper drawings so that every single thing is spelled out very clearly, so that once the project's built, there's no questions asked. You're not worried about, oh gosh, Ann told me that I was going to get 3 recessed lights, but I only see 1. Ann, you told me 3. No, I didn't. I told you 1. Nope, nope, nope. It's all spelled out, so it's very clear for you. This book is designed so that I can leave the book on the driveway, and I can go on vacation, and you can go on vacation, and we could hand this off to the project manager and say, hey, project manager, build everything that we asked for. So this is great documentation for you. We've done projects years and years and years ago where I go back to the house to do a project again, and they have their book that was from 22 years ago. So it's a wealth of information. So you'll hang on to this. So I'll pass this around if you want to. Can you pull that out, Ed? Okay. Okay, styles. So the fun part of your project, this is where we really involve you. There's lots of fun in the project. It's not all details and inches and measurements and tape measures. There's a lot of fun involved. We can completely design your project for you, or you can be involved, and we love it both ways. So if you say, I don't care about anything, just make my bathroom beautiful, I can do that. But if you say, I love to do this. This is so much fun. I want to go to Avalon, and I want to go to the plumbing place, and I want to go to all the different places with you, then we can do that as well. So however you want to work it, we're here for you to go at the pace that you'd like. But there's lots of different design styles these days, and I would say in the past couple of years, the designs have changed a lot. The whole colorway, the whole paint colors, the whole cabinet colors, trends have really changed quite a bit. And I use the word trends, and I shouldn't have used the word trends because I'm not a fan of the word trends. I like styles better. Trends come and go, and I think there is a place in your home and in your project for a trend, an accent or something like that. But I want your project to be timeless. I want your kitchen to look just as good today as it does in 15 years. So I don't want your styles to be too crazy. So we'll blend a couple trends in there, but we'll try to stay up to date with some of the different styles. So I'm going to talk about some of the different styles, and you could share some of the things that you might be interested in too, in case I'm not talking about the things that you're looking forward to. White, 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 white. For the past 10 years, it's been white, 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 white. You'll see a lot of pictures here of some of the kitchens that we've done, and everybody's done a white cabinet with a white countertop and maybe a different color island. So we are so happy to see that change a little bit. White's still popular. We're still doing a lot of white, but the colors have become a lot warmer, and we're doing a lot more neutrals than we used to. These are some different styles of kitchens that we've done where we've blended white with some of the neutrals. You're still seeing some of the white quartzes, you're seeing some of the creamier tones. You're seeing a lot of different warm colors. White oak cabinetry is very popular now. Let me pull some of these out here. So these are some of the wood tones that have become popular. Can you hang on to that for me? The oaks of the past were the golden oaks, the honey oaks, but now the oaks have become whiter and a little bit more taupy, and they're quite pleasant when they go with some of the different whites or neutrals or creamy tones. Do you like these colors? Just curious, what are you thinking of some of the warm wood tones? Liking them? Okay. So whites have also toned down a little bit. So instead of doing, this one or this one?
The other one.
These both, this and this are both stained.
Okay.
This is a painted. So the whites have gotten toned down a little bit, where they've gotten a little bit creamier. They've gotten a little taupier. So when you're blending the taupier tones with the white oaks, it's a very pretty look. So we're doing a lot of accents with this. You might not like all your cabinets in the oak shade, maybe we'll do an accent. Maybe you could do the island in that color, or maybe you could do some shelves in that color. So it just makes for a warm, beautiful look. Metals. I don't know, years and years ago, everybody had the same metals in their house. Your bathroom fixtures, where your shower was chrome, your faucet was chrome, your light fixture was chrome, everything was chrome. But now it's okay to mix your metals. So it's very common to see a chrome light fixture with maybe a black faucet, and then accent it with a champagne gold cabinet pull. So when you mix all these together, it's just so pretty and so elegant, and it makes such a big statement. The greens and navies are also very popular. Anyone love the greens and the navies?
I love them.
Yeah, I do too.
I never thought I would.
Yeah.
I like dark wood. Like, I don't even like these, so.
You like dark?
So the fact that I'm like drawn to those painted cabinets is funny for me.
Yeah, I just finished a kitchen, and I wish I had pictures of it because I went today to see the finished product. It was a dark cabinet, very dark cabinet, a dark walnut cabinet with a forest green accent. So some of the cabinets were forest green, some of them were dark. And it's not my personal style, but I got to tell you, drop dead gorgeous. It was amazing. So and we captured it with a little bit of a really fun wallpaper. So the whole kitchen was just absolutely fabulous. So I'll show you pictures when we come to visit you of the cabinet.
So your comments about like styles versus trends. So the mixed metals, would you call that a current trend, or is that something that will be?
No, I call that a style.
Okay.
I call that a style. I call a trend a crazy wallpaper on the wall,
okay.
or something wild, or I'll get into some other accents in a second. Popular color tones, universal khaki, if you're looking for the colors of the year from Benjamin Moore or Sherwin-Williams. Universal khaki, which is a taupey tone, and silhouette, which is a dark gray. They're two of the hottest colors of the year from Benjamin Moore and Sherwin-Williams. Statement pieces.
They're doing CPR training. That's
I thought they were. I was going to
Upstairs, they're doing CPR training.
So we're in good hands in case there's an emergency. They all know CPR. So this is where I would talk about trends. These are some very popular trends. I'll go backwards for a little bit. Arches. Arches are a trend that came back. Remember, 1940s, 50s, arches were everywhere. So arches have come back, and they're not coming back in the entire house, but they're coming back as accent pieces. Maybe the doorway into the pantry, or maybe the doorway into a select room. So this arch in particular was off of a kitchen, and it was in a little butler's kitchen.
Yeah, you gave two colors for Benjamin Moore, universal khaki. What was the
And
other?
silhouette.
Universal khaki, Sherwin-Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, silhouette is Benmore, right?
I might have them backwards. I'll have to get back with you on that one. But arches are a very pretty statement. We're seeing a lot of things like timbre material. Have you ever heard of timbre material? This is an accent wall piece that, as you see in the middle, if you have an accent wall, you can put a whole wall of timbre material, whether it's the square.
2026 is wood panels.
Is that, say that again?
Like the wood paneling of 2026?
I would say yes,
Okay.
yes. So we do this a lot on the bottom of islands. We do a whole accent wall. We've done a bar, the back of a bar. So you can have fun with this and just do it in a small amount, or you could do it on a grand scale, and it looks really cool. One of my favorite things is color drenching. Have you ever heard of color drenching? So color drenching is when you paint your entire room the same color. So your walls, your accent trim, your baseboard, your ceiling, your doors, everything in that room is the same color. These I would call trends, right? These are going to come and these are going to go, but these are easy things to, like color drenching, that's an easy thing to change, right? I don't want you to do something in your house that's going to look like it was a 2026 style. So this I can paint, and it's easy to change. Timbre I could take off the wall when it goes out of style. So that's where you want to interject the trends, is where something you can easily change. We're doing a lot of reeded glass. So instead of doing a cabinet that has a solid panel, change the middle panel to a glass, and it's obscured so you can't see everything behind it. You could see the shadows of it, but you can't see everything behind it. But that's really pretty too. We're also doing some fun accent tiles. Whether it's the backsplash or the back of a wall or just an accent piece, you can also do some fun styles and trends with accent tiles. Countertops. So those of you doing a kitchen, have you thought, even bathrooms, have you thought about countertops? Have you thought about what type of countertops that you'd like? Anybody? Do you know anything about countertops?
Some are easier to take care of than others.
Yes.
Some stain
Yes.
rather quickly.
Yes. Yes. And yes.
3-year-old, I don't want that.
Yes, exactly. So there's a lot of countertops out there. You can do marble, you could do soapstone, you could do porcelain. So there's so many different types of countertops out there, but we find the three most popular ones that we do are granite, quartz, and quartzite. So there is a difference between these stones. And I'm going to share a little bit with you. So if you want to elaborate on it, let me know. So granite is a natural stone. It comes from the earth. What you see from the earth is what you get. So if you like the variation, if you like the tone, if you like the shade, if you like everything about it, great, because that's what you're getting. Granite tends to be a busier style. So you tend to see stones like this, where you have a lot of pattern, not a lot of soft movement. There's a lot of pattern, there's a lot of strong colors. Granite is a wonderful stone. Back in the 80s, granite was the new hot thing, and it was pricey back in the 80s. Granite has come down in price as compared to other stones because other stones have gotten more popular. Granite is a very durable stone. This is a stone that you have to seal on a regular basis. I would say every year it's, put a sealant on it. And it's very simple to seal. Don't be scared of granite. All you have to do is spray something that, looks like a Windex, spray it on, wipe it in, and boom, you're done. So I always say when it's time to change your smoke detectors, seal your granite, and then you'll be fine. I've done tests with granite where I've put Coca-Cola, I've put red wine, I've put mustard, and I've put ketchup on it, on a sealed granite to see if it would stain. I left it on there for days and days and days at a time, and it was fine. Not that I recommend you putting ketchup, red wine, mustard, and everything on your counter and leaving it there for days, but it is a very durable stone. So if you like this pattern, then a granite is a wonderful stone for you. This is another one of the granites that I like that is a little bit quieter. This is called Brown Fantasy. I use this all the time. It has a little bit more of a soft movement to it, but it's still considered a granite. So wonderful, wonderful option for you. They always say a pH cleaner, a non-pH cleaner, a pH cleaner. You just soap and water, Dawn detergent is really the best. Something neutral. There are granite cleaners out there that you could use. They're really not necessary. Dawn detergent, a light soapy rag is fine.
Is there something you absolutely never use on, like Windex?
You wouldn't want to use that. You wouldn't want to use Tilex. You wouldn't want to use Clorox. Don't use anything with an acid base is really what you shouldn't do. It is a natural stone, so it is. You have to be careful with it. But granite is a wonderful stone. I have granite in my house. I've had it now for 12 years, and I will confess that I do not seal it every year, and I have spilled red wine and ketchup on it, and it's okay. So. Not that I recommend it. Granite is, sometimes you'll hear, but can I put a hot pot on it? So a lot of times you'll pull a cookie sheet out of the oven and you'll put it right on the countertop. I don't recommend that with any stones, but of all the stones out there, if you put a cookie sheet on your countertop that's granite, it's safer than others. There is a chance, though, with any stone, that there could be a very small crack in your granite that you can't even see. And if you put something extreme temperature on it, it could expose the crack a little bit more. So I don't recommend it, but some people say that granite is more durable than others in that case. The other stone, which is a man-made product, is called quartz. So this is made with quartz and resins. So it's a mixture of both. And each slab is identical to the next. So what you're seeing here, if you ordered 116 slabs of this, it's going to be identical on all 116 slabs. Whereas granite, if I need 4 slabs of granite, each one's going to have slightly different variations in it. So this is a wonderful product too. This does not have to be sealed. It's very durable. You cannot take a cookie sheet out of the oven and put it on the quartz because it will burn a ring on it. Doesn't have to be sealed though, so it's real easy to maintain, very pretty. It does have the soft, warm veining that is very pretty and very elegant. So this is one of the creamier colors. Some of the quartzes of the past couple of years have been very white, but they're starting to introduce more of the warmer tones so that it goes with some of the current colors of today. And then the other one that
Is that the general thickness of quartz?
no, it's this thick.
Oh,
It's the same thickness. And then quartzite is the other option, and quartzite is a natural stone, comes from the earth, but it has a pattern like marble. So this is the one that most looks like marble, but it's not as porous as marble. Marble's very porous, and if you were to use marble in your kitchen, I can promise you'll hate it in about 2 days because every time you put a glass of water down, it's gonna create a ring. It's very, very fragile. Absolutely magnificent, but it's very fragile. So quartzite is a sister product, let's call it, because it looks so similar, but it's much more durable than the actual marbles or the soapstones. So the quartzite comes in a lot of beautiful patterns. Here's a dark charcoal color, so they're beautiful. I always tell people that this is one place where I like you to go and walk around the slabs. You're going to walk in and you're going to have an idea that, yep, I want granite, but you're going to then catch something down that row, 3 rows down, and you're going to say, I love that one. That one speaks to me, and you don't care what it does. You're going to want that slab. So I want you to walk through and look because it's almost like a picture. When you look for a picture, the picture has to speak to you. And that's how I feel about the natural stones. Something's going to speak to you, and you're going to say, I have to have that. So can you tell I'm a geek when it comes to countertops?
Options on the quartzite?
No, you cannot. Nothing hot on the quartzite.
are those the only 3 materials you work on?
No, we'll do marble, we'll do soapstone, we'll do porcelain, we'll do any of the kinds. These are the 3 most common and the easiest to maintain. And they fall into, so price-wise, where do they fall price-wise? Granite's going to be your least expensive. Then you have the quartz, which is going to be the next level up. And then your quartzites are going to be the most expensive. And quartzites can be anywhere from, let's say, $190 a square foot on up to $400. So that's going to be your most expensive one. Questions about stones? Okay. Lighting. Part of what we do is we work up a lighting plan for you. We're not just going to say, great, we're going to, put a couple recessed lights in here and maybe a pendant and we'll call it a day. No, we want to make sure the lighting is set properly for you. We want ambient lighting. We want task lighting. We want to see where the natural sunlight's going to come from. We want to make sure your stove is lit. We want to make sure your refrigerator is lit. We want to make sure everything is properly laid out. So part of what we do is, as you're looking through that agreement, there will be an electrical plan that will show exactly what we're doing and what types of lighting that we're using in your home. Spa-like atmosphere. Ed talked about the fuzzy robe. So this is a similar fuzzy robe kind of feel, the pillowy effect. So this is a typical white bathroom that I promise you it did have fuzzy robes hanging on the hooks that you can't see. But what's happening with bathrooms is showers are getting bigger. Everybody wants a bigger shower. And if you're thinking about resale down the road, think of who's going to be buying your home. And it's, the younger generation now are wanting the gigantic showers. All of the showers of the 1980s were 4x4, maybe not even that big, 3x3, and everybody survived. But now the showers are super big. People are removing their tubs and making large showers. So as long as you have one tub in your home, you're good for resale value. So if you want to take that primary bathroom and remove the tub and put a beautiful shower in there, so you have a little bit more elbow room, and you can maybe put a bench in there, a couple of rain head, maybe a handheld, and a stationary head, it makes for a much more luxurious look. So this is the ultimate bathroom, right? They have the tub in the shower, they have the jets, they have the shower head, they have the handheld, they have the bench. Like, I could live in there. Tile and flooring. So Lots of different options for flooring out there. You may have heard all the different types out there when you go to look at a flooring store. There are millions and millions of different options. And again, there's so many things out there, but I'm going to talk about the 3 most popular. Tile. We all know what tile is. Tile is beautiful, most used in bathrooms, often used in kitchens. A lot of people don't love tile because of grout. Poor grout has a really bad reputation, but the grouts of today have gotten a lot better. They're filled with antimicrobials, so they don't have to be sealed on a regular basis. I'll bet you never even knew your grout had to be sealed, but you're supposed to seal your grout every year if it was done many years ago, and you may or may not have done it once, but you probably didn't do it after year 2. So that's why your grout doesn't look good anymore, because you didn't seal it. But today they're with antimicrobials, so it's a lot more resilient to stains and dirt. Tile comes in all different sizes. We have the 12 by 12 tiles. We have the 12 by 24 tiles. We have the 24 by 48 tiles. We have such big, beautiful tiles now. So if you're not loving the grout, there are bigger tile options so you don't have as much grout. So small tiles, big tiles, there's lots of options out there. Hardwood is another popular forever, right? The 1920s homes, the house, sometimes you pull your carpet up and there's beautiful hardwood underneath your carpet. So hardwood is still extremely popular. We are doing a lot of hardwood in kitchens, and it's okay to do hardwood in kitchens unless you have 6 kids who spill their juice all the time and dogs that make a mess. So if your kitchen is generally calm, it's okay to do hardwood in the kitchen. It makes for a beautiful look. Hardwood comes in all different sizes now. It's no longer the 2-inch or 3-inch widths. It's beautiful wide planks. They can be 9 inches wide. They can be 72 inches long. So the hardwood looks have changed dramatically, and they're quite beautiful. Yeah.
Do you ever see where people select that when the home was built in like 1959? And so it does have those 2 or 3-inch hardwoods, and that's since gotten them redone. If I wanted to extend, is there a way to find hardwood that would match that? Have you had that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We do it all the time because that hardwood is beautiful that you have. So what we would do is we would take whatever flooring, say you have a tile floor, we would take that flooring up, we'd put the strip flooring down, and the rooms that are right next to it, we would sand those rooms and then refinish the whole area so it all matched. So it looks seamless. It's pretty amazing how that works.
You mean like if you're able to buy new hardwood flooring that would match the
You wouldn't be able to buy new hardwood flooring that's pre-finished. You would have to buy it unfinished, and we'd have to see. Yes, yes. Your floor, even if you had a box in the basement of the existing floor, your current floor has changed colors over the years because of the sun that's beaming in on it. So even if you had the exact box, it wouldn't match up. So that's why we have to sand the existing and then restain everything, and it's a good match at that point. So has anyone heard of luxury vinyl? Have you used it in any of your homes? It's okay. Luxury vinyl is a wonderful product. Kind of taken the whole world by storm, really. We use it probably more than anything. This floor right here is a floor by Mannington. It's a luxury vinyl. I love the variation. I love the size. It's a beautiful looking floor. This floor is durable. It's strong. We've had it here in the showroom for 5 years. We've dragged furniture. We've done lots of things to it. It is not scratch it's scratch resistant. You have to be slightly careful, but if you get a scratch on it, it's very, very durable. Scratch resistant? Did I say that right? It's not scratch proof, it's scratch resistant. You got it, yeah. It is also water resistant. So this floor is an amazing floor with water. So we do use it in bathrooms on occasion. So you could put it on the bathroom floor, not the shower floor. People use it in kitchens all the time. If you get the right look, sometimes people have no idea that it is a vinyl floor. Everybody thinks it's hardwood. There are vinyls out there that aren't so great, and there are vinyls out there that are incredibly beautiful. So we love this product. It's a wonderful product. A lot of the floors click together. So if you, say, had something happen over here on the floor that one of your kids colored on it and you can't get it off or whatever, you can unclick a section of it, put a new board, and click it back in. So it's very easy to maintain. It's great, very durable, and it's a wonderful option for you. Luxury vinyl truly made its debut in the commercial field. So that's where we first saw it when it, before it came out, maybe 15 years, and that's where it was. It was in hospitals, it was in doctor's offices, it was in regular offices. So because of the durability. And back then it looked sort of okay, but it has gotten so much better in the visual. So that's why it became a popular residential.
How does the transition go from the luxury vinyl to like tile, if you were to do tile in the bathroom and this with everything else?
So there would be a transition, and depending on what it is, if it's tile to the luxury vinyl, we would use a marble threshold to transition, maybe with a Hollywood bevel, which is a little angle at the bottom. Or we could build up the floor underneath, add an additional layer of subfloor so that it was even with your tile. There are transitions, stair nose transitions, there are baby thresholds, all different types of transitions so that you can go from one room to another. So it depends on what we're looking at, but we could either build up and level it, or we can put a transition piece in. Okay, so any other questions on materials and trends and styles? All right, well, ultimately, we are going to build your project. So after we've done all the fun things like the planning and the design, and the layouts and the selections and all the materials, we will come up with a final project for you. We will have developed our agreement for you that outlines every single thing that we're doing in the project, including every make, model, color, item number of every product that you're purchasing. And then we're ready to build. So we're going to introduce you to our team at that point. So your designer and your project manager will get together and will come to your home, and you will meet our project team. So you will have one project manager who is dedicated to your project. The project manager may have a lead carpenter work with him. He may have an apprentice work with him, but he and his team will coordinate every detail of your project from start to finish. They will provide you with a schedule that says this is when we start and this is when we stop. They will coordinate every trade partner. They will be the one telling the electrician what to do, not you. They will be the one making sure your materials arrive, not you. They will be the one to handle an issue if there's an issue. So the project manager takes your project and executes everything that we've planned along the way. The project manager takes care of it in detail. The designer, myself, Ed, Manny, Melissa, we're still involved in the project. We still come and we check and see what's going on to make sure that everything that we've planned together is happening at the project. So that's my favorite part of the project, because that's when I get to see all the pretty happen. I'm like, oh my God, it's so pretty. So I get so excited at that. So these are our team. So these are our guys. There is not one person that I would say, oh geez, I hope you don't get him. Like, he's not very good. Like I think they're all fantastic. I have a ton of respect for every one of them. They're very talented. They're very kind. I was at a project recently where I couldn't find the project manager, and I was like, where is Nick? Like, his truck is here. I couldn't find Nick. So I walked all around, walked all through the house, walked outside, couldn't find him. So I thought, gosh, I hope he's okay. Well, then I looked down the street, and here he is walking the family dog, because the lady had to leave for a couple hours. So they're really good, fine gentlemen. So this is our team, and you will eventually meet your project manager and get to know them. They're committed to every detail of your project. They're going to worry about dust protection in your home. They're going to handle the schedules. They're skilled craftsmen. They're going to communicate with you along the way so you know what's going on. And they're going to follow all the quality control measures that Jay Cipriani has set up through the years, because there are a lot of quality control things that they have to follow to make sure your project is being built right. So it's going to be a great journey for you. I believe that a successful remodeling project isn't just about the great design, but it's having a process that protects the design. So that kind of wraps up everything I want to talk about tonight with you, and hopefully you were able to gain a little bit of insight on how to develop your project and what to do. We'd love to meet with you at your house. I think that's the next natural step for us to meet with you at your house so we could learn a little bit more about your project. And Madison, who you checked in with, will be happy to schedule an appointment with you. So when we come out to your house next, we'll come out, we'll listen, we'll sit at your kitchen table, we'll talk to you about your project, and we'll get the ball rolling. We really thank you for coming. We appreciate your time.